Yo, 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 what is going on? 32-bit. It's your boy checking in. I'm your host, Calvin Domingo, aka Steezy A. Smith. And I know I apologize in advance for a little late covering this, but breaking news in the NFL world and in the sports world as of earlier today, the Indianapolis Colts, a year after trading for Carson Wentz, is going to be trading Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders for two third-round picks and on top of a second-round swap in which Indianapolis moves up from 47th overall in the second round to 42nd overall. For me, I tweeted this out. I'm not going to say it's a lateral move for the Commanders, but I just don't know how much of an upgrade Carson Wentz truly is over the duo of Taylor Heineke and Ryan Fitzpatrick. I just feel like with with Carson Wentz, right? Like his play style is very volatile. He relies almost extensively on the deep ball. He's not a very accurate quarterback. Reports from the Athletic pointed out that the Indianapolis Colts brass, the front office, the team, ownership, they got tired of him. He wasn't very much of a leader, and he's had character issues dating back to his days with the Philadelphia Eagles. And so, yes, he's going back and reuniting with the NFC East. And yes, he might be more of a talented, pure thrower of the football than a Taylor Heineke, but is he a lot more talented than Ryan Fitzpatrick? I mean, because when I look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, I kind of see some similarities. Excuse me. With Ryan Fitzpatrick, his play is also very volatile. I think with Carson Wentz last year, yes, the interception INT ratios 27-7, that looks good. Yes, he didn't have very many receivers, but he had an elite ground game led by arguably the best running back in football, not named Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. He had an above average offensive line, something that he didn't really have in Philadelphia for a lot of those years. And so he's gonna have some weapons in Washington. Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas. I don't know if Curtis Samuel. I don't know if he's the best fit for a guy like Carson Wentz. He's not very accurate in those screen throws, and he's not very accurate. Period. Yes, he's gonna make big plays from time to time. Yes, he's capable of elite play from time to time, especially with how great he is at throwing the deep ball, at making plays and playing hero ball from time to time. From time to time, it works, but also from time to time, it can go extremely and horribly bad. I mean, my goodness, last year they literally had an inside path to claiming one of those final spots in the AFC, sixth, seventh, or eighth, excuse me, not AFC, fifth, sixth, or seventh seed, and they lost two games in a row, and they lost a must-win game to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the worst team in football for the last couple of years. My goodness sake! And look at the draft capital that the Colts surrendered. The Eagles now have the 15th overall pick in this year's draft. Or is it the 16th? One of the two. But that's courtesy of the Colts. They traded that pick for Carson Wentz. And a year after that, they're trading him now with no insurance policy. Yeah, maybe in the second round, they could get a Desmond Ritter or a Sam Howell or whatever quarterback does end up going in that range. But are they going to be real successors over Carson Wentz? Are they going to be the future? Like, are we that high on them? There's a reason why this draft class isn't particularly keen on quarterbacks. It's very weak when it comes to quarterback. And relatively speaking, of course, I'm not saying these guys can't play quarterback. I'm just saying in recent memory, there's been a lot more talent at the quarterback positions. And so with Indianapolis, Jimmy G, yes, is an option. But going back to Washington, I feel like with Washington, it's a marginal upgrade, right? Carson Wentz can make bigger plays. But if there's questions about his character, if there's questions about him being a leader, how is he going to be able to coexist with Ron Rivera? Because Ron Rivera is not going to let no BS slide. He's not going to let those character issues and all that drama, whatever else goes on behind the scenes. He's not going to let that sink the ship. He's not going to let that become or turn Washington into a circus. It already is a circus, and so why add to that? I feel like with Washington, they could have done better. They could have waited for a Jimmy G. They could have signed a Jameis Winston. Maybe they look to the draft, but in trading two third-round picks, I just don't know if that really guarantees them of a playoff spot, even in a weak NFC, even in an even weaker NFC East. Just because, yes, those two third-round picks, I feel like they definitely could have used that to address other holes on the roster. The defense took a major step back. They could use another pass catcher or two behind a Terry McLaurin. They could use some depth on the offensive line. They could use some corners in the secondary. They could use some depth at linebacker. And so, yeah, like I said, he's a marginal upgrade, but I don't think the upgrade is nearly high enough for me to justify trading 2 third-round picks, the second, which could become a second-round pick. I just don't know if I would have went there if I'm the Washington Commanders. Like I said, similar options exist and lie out there on the market, trade market, free agency market. Jameis Winston, who I feel like is a far superior quarterback than Carson Wentz, especially at this stage in his career. Jimmy G, while he might not be better, he's more accurate, and at least he's proven to be able to not take a team to the playoffs, but at least be a part of the ride. He's taken the Niners past the NFC Championship in 2 of the last 4 years. And so we know that with the system around him, with the team tailored to his strengths, with the running game intact, with a decent offensive line, with a great defense, with great coaching, Jimmy G can succeed. Now he can't. Maybe he might not be able to win you the big game, but he can at least take you to the playoffs. Something that Carson Wentz just proved last year he cannot do. The system and everything around him has got to be perfect. Even when he was an MVP candidate back in 2017, I mean, some of the things that he was doing that year were just simply unsustainable, and the system and everything around him, the talent, the personnel, the coaching, everything. He just so happened to be in a perfect scenario, in a perfect situation. Hence why his backup, Nick Foles, ended up winning the Super Bowl that very year. They were that deep. They were that talented. They were that well coached. They were that good of a football team. And so with Carson Wentz, again, it's a marginal upgrade, but I don't know that it guarantees them a spot in the playoffs. Now they bring in a Jameis Winston. If they were to bring in a Marcus Mariota, if they were to bring in a Mitchell Trubisky and then draft a guy in the middle of the rounds, I feel like I'd be a lot more content heading into the next NFL season with that as my situation at quarterback, as opposed to our Carson Wentz, who's flamed out in his last 2 destinations. Is he all of a sudden at age 29 just going to change his ways? Is he all of a sudden just going to become a leader? Is he all of a sudden just going to get rid of those character issues that have kind of been plaguing his relationships with teams and teammates and whatnot? Is that all just going to go away? Is he all of a sudden going to become an accurate quarterback? Is he all of a sudden going to become a leader that, guides and it elevates the team around him and takes his team to the postseason? I don't know. And because with him, the answer is a definitive no. And with the other guys that are on the market, it's not necessarily definitive yet. I would have taken that chance. I would have gone after another guy. But with the Washington Commanders, that defense did take a step back last year. A lot of that talent that took off a couple of years ago, a lot of that talent is still there. And so maybe the Commanders are banking on some sort of a return to form for that defense. And maybe they just plan on giving Carson Wentz as many playmakers as possible. Maybe this entices them to re-sign a Brandon Scherf and entices them to attack receiver and maybe even bring in another running back to the fold. And so who knows what their plan is. Me personally, I wouldn't have taken a chance on Carson Wentz. I would have waited for other guys. But for the Colts, I guess it's good for them that they were able to get rid of him, and how fast they were able to do that. I mean, I think that speaks volumes to just how bad the situation was behind the scenes in Indianapolis. But now they have a whole bunch of cap space, top 5 in the NFL. They're able to go after some of the guys that I just mentioned, or with now the 42nd overall pick in the second round, because they don't have a first round pick. They could target a quarterback there. They could target one of the projects, one of the guys that I mentioned above. But I think Indianapolis, they made the right move. They definitely did. And with Washington, I guess we'll wait and see. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just wanted to keep it short and simple. For more NFL content, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, man, at 32bit, both on YouTube, Instagram, and also on Twitter. We've been working diligently to increase and kind of build a following on all of these platforms. So if you guys can subscribe, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it here on behalf of the 32-bit team. Again, this has been your host, Calvin Domingo, a.k.a. Steezy A. Smith. Don't forget to show me some love. Go on YouTube, go on Instagram, Twitter, at Steezy A. Smith, SteeZyA, SMITH. Down there, you're going to see it right there. Hit that subscribe, drop a like. Leave me your thoughts down below. Let's talk. Share me some of your guys' thoughts, your guys' opinions, what you guys thought of the move. That's going to be it for me, y'all. Steezy A. Smith checking out. All glory to God.